Today I will be going over all the games I played in 2023. I joined Steam in February of 2023, so that's where we will start the timeline. On top of providing the price with every game I play, I will also tell you what month I started playing it. At the end of the video, I will mention 4 games that I started playing, but for such little time that I cannot properly review it yet, and I do wish to come back to those games in the future. The very first game I played on Steam was Rainworld. I watched my partner play part of a campaign and really wanted to experience it for myself. I bought the base game for myself, and my partner bought me the Downpour DLC. It quickly turned into my favorite game ever. The environment is beautiful. The AI is programmed to act like an ecosystem, and it succeeds very well at making you feel small and helpless in a big, dangerous world. You are not a hero in Rainworld. You are simply part of the food chain, and while that aspect of the game is something many people do not like, it is one of my favorite parts. There are 8 campaigns available if you include Downpour, along with a secret hidden one. All the storylines are immersive and tell touching, interesting tales of various slug cats in Rainworld. I thoroughly enjoyed playing through all of the campaigns and getting all the different endings. I will be returning to this game soon, since a new DLC was announced not too long ago. Rainworld is truly a piece of art. It helped me get through a rough, turbulent period in my life, and I am planning on dedicating an entire video on this game at some point. Deep Rock Galactic is a great game, especially with friends. There's plenty of different mission types to choose from, which means you will never have to play the same thing over and over again. The cave generation system is random, so you'll always find yourself in a cave you've never seen before. Aside from that, there's also a lot of events in Deep Rock, like the Great Egg Hunt event for this Easter, which can spice things up a bit. Speaking of things that spice up the game, there's a lot of extra stuff you can do and get. The overclocks make weapons versatile and are quite easily acquirable. For each weapon you can make multiple builds that work well enough in-game to get a change of pace. I would recommend looking up an overclock guide to make the best builds. Drinking beer with your buddies is also always fun, especially with the funny side effects most beers have. I do think the industrial sabotage mission type needs an overhaul, and I'd also like to see more diversity in the dreadnoughts. Other than that, I love playing this game, especially with my loved ones. Oh boy, the nostalgia hit hard. When I was little, I used to play Fireboy and Watergirl together with my male cousin on the days we would have lunch together at my aunt's place. We used to play it off one of those websites with 1,000 other games, and our progress would never be saved. Nevertheless, we would always have fun replaying the first levels and perfecting our times. When I saw it on Steam, I knew I had to get it, and playing it again takes me back to those good old days. Nowadays, I play it whenever my female cousin is around, and now having my progress saved makes me very happy. One thing to note is, in order to play this game properly, you have to make sure your display refresh rate settings are on 60 Hz instead of 120 Hz, since your game will play very slowly if it's not on 60 Hz. This is because the game is quite old. It's really fun figuring out the puzzles and how to get all the diamonds together. I have not played through all of the levels yet, but eventually I am sure I'll get through it. Overcooked 2 is a very fun co-op game. It requires a lot of communication between you and the one you play with. It starts out quite simple, with you being able to move freely around the kitchen to prepare all ingredients, serve the customers, and wash the plates. The layouts of the kitchens get increasingly funny though. After a while you will find yourself in the air or on rafts, frantically throwing food at each other, trying to complete enough orders to pass the level. What I also really like is that you won't be making the same dish all the time. Some foods I've had to make so far are burgers, fried chicken and crisps, pizza, and different types of sushi, so making the food never gets boring. The storyline about freeing the kingdom from the unbred is quite cute, although heavily overshadowed by the awesome gameplay. I really enjoy playing this whenever my loved ones feel up for the challenge, and I'm definitely planning on playing through all the levels eventually. Love this game, highly recommend. Fables has a lovely storyline about 3 bugs with various backstories that all find some form of closure during their adventure while they're trying to save their kingdom from the wasps. This means there are a lot of touching side objectives for each main character. I personally really enjoyed V's quest related to her sister while trying to make amends with her. The combat system is a nice turn-based system with a lot of different abilities and combos to use. This makes the fights compelling and they don't take too long either. The badges make for fun builds and strategies you can also use to fight the more difficult bosses. The game on normal mode is not too hard to complete, however the hard mode makes things a lot more difficult. There are also some collectibles to find, which thanks to hints from the game itself are quite easy to find as well. This game has a bunch of fun mechanics and combines it into a lovely game that I highly recommend to others. Stardew Valley is an awesome farming game with a lot of different options like fishing, mining, and foraging. I like that there's 2 different endings and that the game works with seasons. The friendship system with all the NPCs is very well fleshed out, and I like that each of them have different favorite items you can give them to gain friendship. None of the tasks are tedious and they don't overstay their welcome. I like that there's an almost daily task you can get from the town board. There's also the museum you can donate things to, mostly things you find in the mines. There's a lot of different areas to unlock and I still have a lot to go. The festivals are a nice touch as well. On top of all this, there's also a co-op mode which works well. The game is still getting consistent free updates, which is great. I think this is my favorite farming game I've played so far. I definitely have not played long enough to finish the game. I only managed to finish spring, I think, and I'm planning to return to this game either with my partner on our shared farm or alone when I feel up for it. Bloons Tower 6 is one of the best tower defense games I've played. The amount of content this game has is insane. There's a million maps, all varying in difficulty, with different difficulties and ribbons per map as well. Next to that there is the heroes, all with different abilities. Not only are there regular maps to complete, there's also odysseys, challenges, and boss fights. And for the towers themselves, there are so many options as well. It's very fun to play around with them and find out what the best build is for each tower. There's hundreds of hours of fun to be had in this game. This game also has a well-functioning co-op version and it's fun to play this with friends, but not so much with randoms since it'll just become a money farming race. This is a great game for when you have half an hour of spare time on your hands and want to play something fun and challenging. Birth is a story about a lonely scientist who wants to create a partner for themselves. They venture into town to gather all parts necessary to complete this process. This game is very fun to play and the puzzles are made in a way that they are relaxing but not turn your brain off easy. I love the vibe, art, and the music in this game. It gives off an eerie yet relaxing atmosphere and it makes time fly by when I was playing it. The game itself is about an hour long, and even though I've completed the whole game, I am sure I will play it again. This is a perfect game to relax to in a weekend after a long, exhausting work week. Ori is a beautiful platformer game with some tricky areas to traverse through. I like the storyline a lot and it had me hooked the entirety of my playthrough. The art is beautiful and is complemented well by the music. All areas in the game feel distinct from one another, yet feel intertwined at the same time, which I think is a nice feature. I like how the upgrade tree works in this game, and that you have to manually save with your life energy. Ori feels like a critter at home in its environment, and I feel like the way combat was handled in this game, which is by utilizing the spirit of the forest, was handled very well. Some of the achievements are very difficult to obtain, which provides a nice challenge. However, I don't feel very motivated to play through the whole game multiple times to get the remaining achievement I'm missing, especially the no-hit run and speedrun achievements. Phasmophobia is definitely one of the best ghost games out there. Maybe also even one of the best multiplayer games out there. The game is still in early access right now and receives regular updates and has seasonal events. There are a lot of different maps to choose from with different sizes, which determine part of the difficulty. Making custom difficulties is very fun too. There are some extra items you can find while playing the game, like cursed possessions. One will spawn per map. The tarot cards are the best cursed possession, because I like agitating the ghost by pulling the cards. Also, you should be creative with the Ouija board questions. Prepare to see your friends get murdered by a ghost. The proximity chat is very nice, especially since the game also has a radio, so you can still communicate with your friends while you're far apart. The upgrade trees for the equipment feel fair, and I can't wait what the full version of Phasmophobia will look like. Baba Is You is the most difficult puzzle game I have and probably ever will play. The art is incredibly cute, but that false sense of security will leave you soon enough once you start playing. You move around words on the screen to form sentences so you can reach the flag. You're practically playing a low-code puzzle game. Now, I'm definitely not a great programmer or coder, so I struggle quite a bit with some of these. Baba Is You is definitely not for the faint of heart. I bet you'll rage quit this game more times than games like Geometry Dash. I do really recommend the game though. It's one of the best puzzle games out there, and if you get stuck, you can always look up a hint on the Baba Is You wiki page. It's very well made, and usually I will understand the puzzle after looking at the first step of the solution. Deltarune has similar mechanics to its counterpart Undertale, yet a unique, compelling storyline. Since the first 2 chapters that have been released so far are longer combined than the entirety of Undertale, I'm sure I will feel more attached to characters like Chris and Noelle than to Undertale's characters. Thank God for the sprint button. This is something Undertale lacked, and I am so very happy to see that one has been added in Deltarune. This makes the game a lot more enjoyable in long corridors. So far, the story is still very vague and ended in a cliffhanger. The bosses are well put together and are very distinct from one another. Especially the secret bosses are very difficult. I'm really looking forward to playing the full game once it releases. Now, I played Undertale at the end of 2022 on my partner's Steam account. This was my second playthrough of the game, this time on my own account. I felt like returning to it after playing through Deltarune. Undertale is a great game with a nice message. The characters are lovable and I got easily attached to them. Going through this game again has been a great experience, and I will definitely go back to get some other endings. When I played the game, I got one of the many neutral endings. I believe the only thing I did not do was Undyne's questline, and after that I got the pacifist ending. When I play through the game again, I'm planning to do the genocide route to fight new bosses. I do really recommend playing through Undertale before playing through Deltarune. Lethal Company took the entire internet by storm when it came out, and for good reason. The game is simple but well made. I do think there's a limited amount of time you can play these games before they get old, so it's a good thing Lethal Company is still receiving updates with new content half a year later. The game is more funny than it is scary when you play it with friends, which is what it's designed for. The different monsters are all very distinct, and some are references to other works, which ensures that there's some variety in the scary aspect of the game. I also really like that there's a lot of different kinds of loot to pick up. After 3 days of gathering scrap for the company, you have to return to the company planet to meet your quota, which increases every time you meet it. I love what happens when you fail to meet the quota. Oh, and be sure to click the bell at least 10 times when you do sell your crap to the company. Inscryption is a great card deck building game that is more than meets the eye. Next to the main gameplay, the game has a lot of secrets and Easter eggs to uncover. Inscryption consists of multiple acts, and each act surprised me more than the previous one. Personally, I enjoyed part 1 the most, but the gameplay in other parts of the game are still entertaining. The lore the story has is very well thought out and has quite a tragic end. Beating the game for the first time feels good, and I'm happy that there's a quote-unquote endless mode with different starter deck builds you can play after finishing the main game. I'm trying not to say too much about the story here since it's just too much fun to figure it out on your own, but I hope that what I said about it enticed you to go play it if you haven't already. It's a great game that I hope to 100% sometime in the future. Turnip Boy Commits Tax Evasion is a very cute looking adventure type game that provides around 6 hours of hilarious gameplay. It had me hooked when I played it. The premise of the game is very fun, as all of us would love to commit tax evasion, I'm sure. Finding all the tax documents and ripping them up is funny, and the way all the characters interact with Turnip Boy is fun as well. The gameplay itself is nothing groundbreaking, but works very well for this game. The puzzles are not too difficult, but not too easy either. All of this combined creates a lovely story with a good ending. The only complaint I have is that for the last few achievements you have to grind the train, and that can get quite tedious. After playing through Turnip Boy Commits Tax Evasion, I was very much looking forward to the sequel Turnip Boy Robs the Bank, and I am happy to say I have since played it and thoroughly enjoyed it as well. I highly recommend both games. I got Geometry Dash on Steam for the nostalgia. I used to play it a lot on mobile as a kid and wanted to add it to my Steam library so I could play it on my PC whenever I want to. I am happy to have bought it around the time the new update came out. It's very cool to see this game expand to the platformer genre, and I've enjoyed playing the new levels that came out. Since I only had the free version of Geometry Dash as a kid, it's been a nice change to be able to play all the available levels in the paid version. The only thing I think is unfortunate is that the Geometry Dash cloud save does not really work well between devices. I would have loved to be able to play on my phone as well, but just playing it on my PC is fine too. Helltaker is a very fun free puzzle game. Every demon you'll meet is very different from each other and all have funny dialogue. The art style is very charming and really suits the vibe of Hell. The puzzles itself get increasingly more difficult, but not in a way you have to look up the solution. I think the twist at the end is very clever, and figuring out who all characters really are is fun. I also really enjoyed that the levels at the end get slightly different with bullet hell style gameplay. It's a very great game and it provides a nice around 2 hours of gameplay. It's ideal to play together with a loved one so someone can help you solve the puzzles if needed. I highly recommend you check out this game, especially if you like puzzle games. When I came across 100 Christmas Cats, I really wanted to try this hidden object game. I immediately fell in love with the beautiful art, line work and details this game has. The cats are well hidden, it's a relaxing game to play and the music complements the theme very well. I buy the DLC, which is only 90 cents, and I really enjoyed the second level just as much, with art just as beautiful as the first level. There was one thing that bothered me at the time, because there was no hint button. It wasn't a big deal, I just looked up a guide to figure out the final locations of the cats I missed, but it was something they could have improved on. Which they did! A few months ago they revamped the game a little bit. They fully changed up the achievement list to fit with their other games and they added a hint button. Overall, good changes were made to the game. If I'd had to choose, 100 Asian Cats is definitely my favorite game in the 100 Cats series. The line art is the perfect thinness so you can appreciate the details, but not immediately spot the cats in the picture. The music complements the theme yet again, just like the names of each cat. Again, I bought the DLC for 90 cents. The second level is a wonderful expansion to the first level, with details just as intricate. This time it had a hint button from the beginning. Awesome! They listened to their community. The The game is very relaxing and I enjoyed my time with it. It's definitely my favorite hidden object game I've played so far. Stick Fight is very fun and silly. The game is very simple, but has a lot of variety thanks to all the different maps and guns. This game really shows that all your friends are sore losers. The online matchmaking works, but not too well at times. I would just recommend playing with some friends in your own lobby because the game can get laggy if you play with randoms. Some of the achievements for Stick Fight are evil, and you really gotta get lucky or plan it out to get them. It's great to play when you don't know what else to do. I absolutely love the Gnorp Apologue. I need a Gnorp as a pet. The perk point system is very well fleshed out and works very well, which makes sure the game is very fun to play. All different Gnorp types are useful for different types of things in various stages of the game. The compression events are super fun to watch and I love the colors of the stack. Speaking of colors, the Easter egg in the game is very funny. I know there will be more content added later this year and I'm looking forward to playing that content as soon as it comes out. The community is super sweet and I would totally buy a Gnorp plushie if they ever get made. Honestly, one of my favorite games of 2023. Ultrakill has very cool mechanics and storyline. I'm looking forward to more content being added to the game. It's still in early access, but Ultrakill is one of the greatest shooter games I have ever played. The great variety of guns and subtypes of guns is super fun to play around with and get the hang of. Only the coin gun gives me trouble still. The game is super difficult though, but it provides a nice learning curve by having a lot of different difficulties. It genuinely is a must-have game for anyone who enjoys shooter games. Would absolutely recommend. These are all the 23 games I played in 2023, however there are 4 honorable mentions. I started these games but did not play them enough to properly review them. I played Darkest Dungeon, Don't Starve Together and Terraria all in April of 2023. This was also the worst month of gaming for me in 2023 since a lot of family related things happened in that time. I can't remember a whole lot of this month because my brain blocked it out. From what I can remember, I did enjoy these games, but I could not properly get into them at the time. They are on my list to be revisited in the future, so eventually you will see proper reviews pop up for all 3 of these games. Finally, there's Monster Hunter Rise. I started this game in November 2023 and never got into it because of the steep learning curve. I did get through the tutorial and I played 1 mission, but left it alone after that. Just like the other 3 honorable mentions, this game is on my list to be revisited in the future once I feel patient enough to get into the game, since I did enjoy the 2 hours I played it for. That's all games I played in 2023. If you want to support me, please like, subscribe and comment on my videos. Have a wonderful rest of your day and I'll see you in the next video.